Good day. Welcome to the Africans in America podcast. With me is Weruche.
Hello, everyone.
Today we want to talk about immigration and deportations.
Sure.
President Trump brought a novel idea, although it wasn't so novel, though, looking
Mhm.
back that Britain tried it, but they've not succeeded. But in this case, he said they will
Yes.
be sending some immigrants that are being deported by the ICE to third-party countries. Some countries, some judges and some states opposed him, and they got judgments against him in the lower courts. But the Supreme Court seemed to have supported him, and then he started to send immigrants that were being deported out of America to El Salvador, and he expanded it to some countries in Africa. He started to make a deal with South Sudan and the country I call Swaziland, but it's Eswatini.
Martini.
Yeah. So these two countries have become recipient countries for immigrants deported from America, and it already has been said that some five of these immigrants have already gone to South Sudan. They came from countries as diverse as Vietnam, Laos, Jamaica, Cuba, and even Yemen.
hmm hmm
So this is the policy Trump is doing now. And while we're hoping that he will be giving us trade deals, and rather he's giving us increased tariffs, and now he's
And
giving us
deportation.
he's giving us exotic deported immigrants. Today we're going to follow the model we followed last time.
Last time, no problem.
Weruche will ask the questions and weigh in now and then, while I will use my limited knowledge of global geopolitics and understanding
Sure.
of the African business and political climate to do the best I can in answering them.
No
Weruche,
problem. Start shooting.
yeah, you can start shooting.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. So my first question is going to be about economic impacts versus political leverage. Remittances from the US diaspora are vital for Nigeria, right?
Mhm.
We know there's at least $6 billion every year. And also another country is Ethiopia and some other countries in Africa. How might mass deportations affect these economies? And could US aid or trade threats like tariffs on South Africa coerce nations into accepting deportees despite domestic opposition?
Well, regarding those deportees that are going to those countries that we had already mentioned, this question has two parts, right? First is the
Mhm.
part on the remittance, and then the second part is the part on the impact on the countries that are accepting the refugees. I
Mhm.
mean, deported immigrants. I would want to take
Mhm.
the second part first, so that it
First,
will flow with the intro.
that makes sense. Mhm.
Yes, you can see that South Sudan, for a long time, the American establishment has had an interest in Sudan. Sudan was a one of the seven countries that was supposed to be broken up for the interest of Israel, namely
Mhm.
Sudan, Libya, Iraq, and Syria. Sudan,
Mhm.
the Sudan project was successful. 20 years of war, they supported the South Sudanese, and then the
Mhm.
Sudanese got their independence. But unfortunately, just immediately after they got their independence, there was a civil war.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they've had problems, political problems. And South Sudan is in a very unique state. They have oil, but they don't have access to the seaport. So they are trying to build it. They need capital. And while everybody goes to China to get capital now, they've left themselves still vulnerable to the American CIA and the American policymakers.
Mhm.
So America still has a lot of influence, especially now that they are trying to find a framework by which they can get the country functioning again. The
Mhm.
terms. of this agreement to receive political, deported immigrants are not known. I really don't know much about them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but you should know that South Sudan is not in a good place. And Eswatini is even in a worse off place because they are a small enclave within the South African uh, borders. Them
Mm-hmm.
and they really don't have a strong economic mind. In fact, what they have is that I think they are a place where the Chinese have built a lot of textile companies and they use that to
Mm-hmm.
export to America under the AGAWA framework. So when you see
Mm-hmm.
now that if Americans take away that agawa for you and take away that
Mm-hmm.
ability for you to raise income and raise some money, because they are not as rich in diamond as most of the countries in that region. I think
Okay.
they are more rural and they are more pastoral. So you
Mm-hmm.
can see that America does have a lot of leverage on these countries. They have a lot
Yes.
of leverage. Let's not forget that America has also tried to coerce Nigeria into
Mm-hmm.
accepting some of these immigrants, these deportees.
Mm-hmm.
And Nigeria bluntly refused. The Nigerian foreign minister actually said that it is one of the problems they are facing with the Trump administration now because the question is they are not being nice about it in your face. They tell you you better take them. But
Yeah.
Nigeria feels that it's an affront on our sovereignty. There are quite a lot of other countries too that also are going through that way. The British had already done that and signed a deal with Rwanda, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in the British case, human rights people challenged the British government, and that project never came to fruition, you know. But in America's case, Supreme Court here has supported Trump. Can you imagine in
Mm-hmm.
that he can have third party deportation, and they already are doing it in Ecuador, where they have a very deadly and dangerous prison, and
Mm-hmm.
they sent a lot of Venezuelans there now. Although now some of them are coming back, and now they're
Mm-hmm.
sending all this. And the five people who were sent to South Sudan were said to be very terrible criminals. That's how they were described. So
Mm-hmm.
we really don't
Mm-hmm.
know. This is the new America now, coercing people, coercing the governments of Africa to accept him.
I
So
know.
now, going back to the second question, which is the question regarding remittance.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've been getting since, Africans, immigrants in America they've stayed clear of controversy and trouble. They've
Mm-hmm.
just generally found it.
Historically.
Yes, yes. They've generally found a way to not be among all these people that are suffering mass deportation. We've heard of one or two cases of deportations, you know, but those were
Mm-hmm.
people who had pending deportation orders on them because of criminal activity and they had served their time and they probably were in sanctuary states, so they were not
Yeah.
they were being protected by the law, but that protection has gone now. ICE has rights to to deport people with impunity. So that's going
Mm.
on there. So now we've seen one or two deportation flights. I think there was one country that rejected that deportation flight, and the Trump administration put very serious punitive actions against them. I forget the country that rejected it from Africa, and they have clammed them heavily on them. But
Yeah.
remittance from African countries is still going on. It is a very big lifeline of the African community and the African diaspora. And
Mm-hmm.
even though they didn't mention it there, Nigeria is not the largest diaspora sending remittance sending country in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
That title is in the hands of Egypt because
Mm-hmm.
Egypt is very big in the Middle East. If you go to,
Mm-hmm.
like I lived in Saudi Arabia, they
Mm-hmm.
occupy a large part of the administrative structure of all those countries. You know, Kuwait, Saudi
Mm-hmm.
Arabia, and Iran, Iraq, all of them. You see a lot of Egyptians in those countries, and because of that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But Africans are not really losing sleep over that remittance. And the good thing about it is that the dollar may be weak in America, but the dollar is strong now in many countries. So
Mm-hmm.
many countries have lost the value of their currency to the dollar. So it's still
Yeah.
there's still a big incentive in sending dollars home to do traditional things like help the family to pay school fees, to build a house, to pay for education and all that is going on. And I don't see
Mm-hmm.
how this Trump mass deportation will affect. I don't think it will reduce. People are being more agile and staying out of Trump's way. He will do his drama. He will serve his 4 years and he will go, and
Yeah.
people will
I
continue
find
to
it very
do.
interesting because it's like he's just constantly creating new, entirely new universes, as one CNN article said, entirely new universes of people to deport.
Yes.
And it's just crazy. I'm gonna ask you about I'm going to ask you geopolitical strategy. So, given the backlash against deporting non-African criminals to Eswatini and South Sudan, framed as using Africa as a dumping ground, how does this align with the Trump administration's broader Africa strategy? Is this primarily a unilateral security move, or does it signal transactional approach to bilateral relations? Did I ask this question already?
Yeah, you
It
did. You
seems
did. I
like you
understand it
you did
clearly.
respond it. So you responded to it actually. No, let's not waste time. We have more. I have a ton of questions.
Oh.
So which deportees sent to conflict zones, examples South Sudan or fragile states with deportees sent? What risks does this pose for regional security? So could returning individuals with criminal records exacerbate violence or strain resources in contexts like DRC's M23 insurgency? I think it would, but what's your response?
Well, luckily for Africa, the numbers are
Hmm.
few. They are experimenting. They are putting their legs in the water, and they
Hmm.
have not really done it the way the British wanted to do it. The British did one where they collaborated with the Rwandan government, upgraded
Hmm.
the prisons, and upgraded the prisons for them, and then now started sending the people. They even did that with Nigeria once when they wanted to start sending a lot of Nigerian criminals who served their time in Britain. They will send they so they help Nigeria send money to the prison services so that they will improve the prison systems to be able to receive um, their deportees, because one of the things that human rights people used to say is that those
Hmm.
places were death traps. They were
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
good enough. So
Yeah.
but the deal, like I had already said, we really don't know the specific deal, but I know that for a transactional president like Donald Trump, he would have said, I will reduce tariffs for you, or I will create access for you, or you will continue to be sending things to me by AGOA. The AGOA, African Growth and Opportunity Act, is the only
Yeah.
way by which it gives people tariff-free access to
Hmm.
America. So I guess for those countries, that's what he is doing for them. For countries
Yeah.
like Nigeria, we can say that we're not doing it because we really don't export to America again. We used to export oil to America, but these days, ironically, we import oil from America because a big refinery was built in Nigeria called Dangote Refinery. And Dangote
Mm.
Refinery is now a net importer of oil from America.
Indeed,
then,
indeed.
then
Indeed.
the
Mhm.
countries that most, if he comes and says, I want a prison placed in your country, that will really be affected will be Ethiopia and definitely Kenya. Already, South Africa is feeling the full heat of Donald Trump's anger against them. So I don't think
I
those
don't
people
know what
will.
point he's trying to prove. I don't know what point he's trying to prove. I don't know why he's targeting Africa.
Well, let
He has
me.
been. In
As regards to
fact,
the South
he's
African one,
expanding.
I have a theory and I have an answer for that one.
Okay, tell me.
South Africa is the only country that challenged Israel and took them to court, to International Criminal Court, and got Benjamin Netanyahu to be indicted for genocide. And because of that, the Israeli lobby, who are a very big part of the donor class to Donald Trump, insisted that he should do that. Besides, they have big influence on Donald Trump. They made him in his first tenure to recognize Jerusalem as a capital. They made him to cancel the Obama era um, JCPOA Act, a treaty with Iran. They have strong
Hmm.
influence of him. They even made him to cancel a Turkish acquisition of F-35 and all that. So now, when South Africa was consistently and perennially disturbing bringing the attention of the world to the genocide going on in Gaza. And when they decided that they are taking them to the International Criminal Court, and they asked for relief from the American Congress. Under Biden, that was not given. But the moment Trump
Yeah.
came, Trump Trump approved it, and that is their sin against. So it has everything to do with Israel. It has nothing to do with. He
Mm.
doesn't even know where South Africa is, I'm sure, on the map.
Yeah. I have another question. So this is foreign policy related. Beyond
Mhm.
deportation deals, the US is imposing visa bans, we know this, on 11 African nations using criteria like terrorism risk or overstay rates. Are these measures strategically coherent? And critics note that Burkina Faso or DRC better fit the criteria than some targeted states. Is this selective enforcement politically motivated?
Well, let's not forget that Trump is no friend of Africa's. He didn't like Africa in his first tenure, but this time around, some realities happened to him that has made him tamper. He's more tampered this time. His daughter married a Nigerian, and she has visited
I don't
Nigeria.
think that matters. I don't think it matters to Trump.
Yeah, well, another person too, that same daughter's father, that same Nigerian's father helped him in bringing the Arab vote to him. So they meet with him on his table, they sit with him. So what I'm just saying is that somehow there's a little African influence within his inner circle now. But that does
Mhm.
not stop the look at
He
the
was
bad
bothering
guy.
me too much. I had to bring him to get
Yeah,
involved.
yeah, yeah. It's all good. It's all good. We're in America.
Hmm.
They love dogs here.
I know. Are you comfortable? You
Oh
don't look
yeah.
comfortable.
Tell him to answer the question.
I
Since
answer. Why do you think Donald Trump is deporting people? Juju. His name is Jupiter. Jupiter, why is
Jupiter,
Donald Trump deporting people? He feels threatened. That's why his paws are like that.
Jupiter is camera
Jupiter, I
shy. He
am
wants to go
I was
back. He
like, you
wants to go
can't
back
answer.
to the floor. Anyway.
Sorry about that. It was
Yeah, I know,
bothering
I
me.
know. They need attention all the time.
They do. No, no, the other
Mhm.
ones are coming. We can't do this like this. Okay, so now I'm listening. I'm listening to what you were saying.
Yeah, so I was saying that Trump has not been a fan of Africa. This time around, he had already signaled that he was going to bar 25 other countries after he had already barred 7 countries. And
Mhm.
I think what he did with Nigeria's case is that he decided to make the visa into America a 3 months, single entry visa. So
And then
that's his
you will pay
workaround.
$250
Yes,
as
as
Vex
visa
money
fee.
or as visa. No, not visa fee, as like collateral in
That's
case you don't come
yes,
back.
as collateral. Yes, that one is done for every country in the world. Every visitor to
Oh, I didn't
America
know that.
now, it now
Mm.
has to pay that $250
Visa fee.
visa. Yes, that's like collateral until when you get back to your country, they give it back to you. I don't
Who
think
will
it's
give it back to you?
probably they will put it in a wallet for you next time you're coming to renew your visa.
Oh my
So
God.
we can't say he has been a friend of Africa. He has engaged with
Yeah.
Africa, especially with Congo and the Rwandan thing, mainly as we know, because there's rare earth metals in those 2 countries, and he
Yeah.
wants access to those rare earth metals. He met with 5 countries, leaders of 5 countries, the same reasons too. They have rare earth
Hmm.
metals. He quickly called them to the White House and had a meeting with them. But
Hmm.
the big hitters like Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, you see the problems he had with South Africa. We have not even heard about his relationship with North African countries. They stay clear of him now because of this Israeli issue. He wanted the Abraham Accords, but you don't hear countries like Morocco or Egypt or anything. They just stay. They don't want trouble
Hmm.
with him and all that. They don't want to be remembered. So he has not been he really had no
And
African plan, or he doesn't even consider
indeed.
us in the question. Mm.
Okay. So the comparative models, the UK Rwanda asylum scheme failed,
Hmm.
right? And Israel's deportation deals collapsed over rights concerns. Why does the Trump administration believe its third country model will succeed? Does Rwanda's openness to a US deal reflect lessons from UK-funded attempts? This is going to be my last question.
Okay. Well, I told you we'd already mentioned it there that human rights groups challenged in the judicial
Mhm.
process in America is different from the judicial process in Europe, right? The judicial
Yes.
process, he himself decided to challenge the states because what happened was that the federal high courts were giving nationwide injunctions, stopping most of his executive orders because let's not forget that he's implementing most of these policies through executive orders, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And democratic states, one of the things we know about America is like many countries, like 50 different countries. They all have their own
Yes.
policies, their own. But the democratic leaning states felt that what he was doing was wrong. They challenged him. But he now took them to the Supreme Court. As me and you know, the Supreme
Mhm,
Court has 6-3 concerning 6 conservatives to 3 liberals. And those 6 people saw with him. The 3 other people did not see with him. It was a clear case he won. And that was
I know.
how it was adjudicated very expeditiously. And because he has won that, even something as fundamental as birthright. In fact, it was the birthright citizenship issue that brought out that question of whether a federal judge can stop his policy
Mhm,
all across the country. And
mhm,
when it was
mhm.
adjudicated that they cannot do that, because he ran for a vote all across the country, and one judge, so they limited the power of the judges from that time onwards. And
Mhm,
with
mhm.
that victory, he now can do all these things he's doing. So he has
It's
gone
very
through,
unfortunate.
yes, he
Go
has
ahead.
gone through a process. Once he got the Supreme Court almost near support, he started rolling it out. Already, he had already started. He don't mind. Don't. He had already started sending them to Ecuador before this
Mhm.
policy now came up. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So it's sad to watch. I mean, as Africans, as immigrants ourselves, and with this entire expanded universe of people he's choosing to deport, everybody can be deported. Every immigrant, based on how he's expanding, every immigrant can be deported. It's not even merely restricted to people who overstayed their visas. I read an article that said he's targeting people who overstayed prior to applying for their asylum. Now, for you to even qualify for asylum, let me even tell you, you have to file within 1 year of being in America. And so even if you came in and then they stamped 6 months on your visa, right, when you were coming in,
Mhm.
and you can file within 1 year, 12 calendar months. So that unless people were filing asylum after 12 months, which I doubt qualifies you to file for asylum, most credible lawyers and attorneys will help you file for your asylum within 12 months. So I doubt that there's any such thing as people filing for asylum after they've kind of messed up their visas. It could be possible, but I don't know that because the asylum process says for you to qualify, you must file within 12 months, right? Even if you filed the day before you hit 1 year in America, you qualify. Even if they haven't received your packet, your application packet, but you have a timestamp that you filed a day before you came, before it clocks 1 year, you are eligible for asylum. And then you prove your case because it's one thing to file, it's another thing to prove your case.
Mhm.
It's a very interesting process. So you're going to face the asylum officer. And then if they don't approve, like in my case, they didn't approve. And then deportation proceedings instantly. And from there, you start to, negotiate with a judge and the state. The state brings their prosecuting attorney while you have your defense attorneys, and you start to speak English, as we say in Nigeria. You start to speak English to prove your case. What am I trying to say? The process is not frivolous. The process is not an easy process.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
tedious
process
one.
that enshrined in legal whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's backed up by the law. It is not an easy process. So anyone who wants to look down on asylum and think it's just so casual is making a mistake because these people prove their case. If your case is is not real or not up to par, they're throwing out your case. It's easy. They do it. So I don't know why he's targeting that group of people. It's quite unfortunate what he's trying to do to us, the immigration process, but that has been his agenda. And for those who voted for him, I hope they bear the brunt of it. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of my questions for today. Do you have anything
Okay.
else you want to add to it?
No, I just want to remind people that if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and like and share, help the algorithm grow. If you have comments,
Indeed.
please leave the comments in the comment section. We like to hear from you. We read all of them, and we are talking about the relationship between the African immigrant community, the African diaspora, and then the African continent. We are all tied as one big, huge family. We live in interesting times, and we're under a
We do.
very interesting president, and there's a lot going on that affects our continent.
Indeed.
Anyway, Weruche, another good one. Thanks for the
Thank you too.
yeah. I
Thank you
like this. I
too.
like this model where you use your CNN skills.
Well, maybe the next time you use it on me and ask me the questions, who knows? But no problem. It was
Okay
great.
then.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah, have a good one. Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Yeah.
Goodbye.